What if I told you that your truest friend, your most reliable map to healing, and your most faithful mirror that holds the key to not only understanding but actually connecting to who you really are, may in fact be one that's already within you, and that most of us have been resisting and wanting to run away for basically our entire life? What if I told you that your anxiety might in fact hold the keys to your emotional freedom and your highest connection to yourself? I am Karla Martínez, and I'm here to talk about what is possibly the most misunderstood emotion in all of human history. And I'm here to tell you how, by owning it, harnessing it, and embracing it, you can actually access the most sublime and profound realms of your own existence. So please join me. Let's talk about mental health. Anxiety. Well, nobody likes it. I don't like it, and I know you probably don't like it. It's basically one of the most displeasing emotions we can actually feel as humans. But you see, the thing is that we've been raised in this matrix, in this society that actually has told us that there's some duality in the world, like good and bad and black and white, and that's how things work, right? But so we are little, and then we are taught that there are some things that are good emotions and bad emotions, and some positive emotions and negative emotions. So we don't even realize how much that harms us, because since we are little, since we are tiny, we learn that there's a part of us that is negative, like our negative emotions, and there is this other part about us that is positive, our positive emotions. So what do? We just take all of the negative emotions, we put it in a drawer, and we basically dissociate. We become this person that's actually fragmented, and we don't realize to what extent it actually dehumanizes. But the thing is, though, if you really think about it, like if you actually stop and take time to think about it, natural selection works in a way that it is so smart, and there's such an economy in our minds that if there's anything at all that is useless, it literally just disappears. That's basically what natural selection is about. So, for example, wisdom teeth, you know, lately in these last years, the new generation, a lot of kids, they don't even have them anymore, because since now we live, you know, these sedentary city lives, they don't need their wisdom teeth. So their body is like, why do I bother? So it just stops having that. So then what is it about anxiety? How is it that our bodies, who are just insanely brilliant and bright and perfect, you know, they're just engineered in a way that's like astonishing. It's perplexing. It's amazing. How is it possible that our bodies would make the big mistake of having good emotions and bad emotions, and keeping them around? But you see, the thing is, there is a reason, and they serve a purpose. But we are just so uncomfortable about their existence whatsoever that we don't even realize. We live so fragmented that we don't even understand why they exist at all. It's just that the sad thing is that we don't know ourselves. We come to life and we have like all these buttons, you know, and positive and negative emotions, and we just don't know what they do, and we're just scared of them. But what anxiety is, have you ever been to a restaurant and there is a mom with her child, and she's talking to another adult, and she's so embedded in her conversation and so used to the voice of her child talking all the time that the child is right next to her and she's having a conversation, right? So the little kid comes and says, "Mom," and the mom, of course, she is really into her conversation and she doesn't even listen. And then the little kid goes again and is like, "Mom," and she doesn't listen again because she is in her own thing, you know? So the kid starts getting desperate and said like, "Mom," and start like grabbing her, and mom is like not even paying attention. And then at some point, he gets so desperate that he throws a tantrum, and he's like, "Mom!" And he's shouting and out of control. And the mom is like, "What's happening with you? Why are you shouting?" And the thing is, she didn't even realize he was talking to her in the first place, the only thing she saw was him shouting, and that's what she thinks happened. Her child came out of the blue just shouting, "Mom!" and throwing a tantrum, but she didn't realize that her child was actually trying to get her attention for quite a while. And I think that is one of the most brilliant analogies about what anxiety is in our life. Because you see, the more you resist it, the more you try to ignore it, the more you want to look outside for some solution to not feel this really, really unpleasing sensation, the stronger it becomes, and the more it comes and owns us, and it starts taking control of all of our lives. And it's just like that little kid, the more we do not listen to it, the more it shouts. But just like that, when we stop and we actually listen to it, you will find out that it was not this really scary, awful thing that we should be afraid of. Because have you ever been in your room at night and then turn around and see, this shape that looks kind of ominous and scary, and then you turn on the light and it was just a jacket? It was nothing. It was literally just a jacket. But the thing is, in the dark, hidden, when we don't talk about things can look actually very, very scary and be things that are not scary at all, that are just part of ourselves. And the thing is, though, that what we do not realize is that when we are afraid of anxiety, what we really are afraid of is we're afraid of ourselves. We think anxiety is this outside entity that kind of comes and scares us, like this dragon or ghost that's around, and we just need to run away from it. But what we don't realize is that our body and our mind is so brilliant that it is designed and it has evolved in such a way that anxiety exists for a very, very amazing purpose. But the thing is that we are so scared of it. We come with all these buttons, but we don't know what they do, so we don't want to touch them. And when we are so scared of it, it's just like seeing those shapes in the dark. But when you actually dare to turn on the light, you will find out that it's not a scary monster or demon. It's actually just yourself. So what is it that anxiety is, and why does it exist? What is its purpose? Because clearly, if it didn't have a purpose, natural selection tells us that it would have already ceased to exist in our life. So what anxiety actually is the most reliable tool we have towards finding ourselves and connecting with ourselves. I know at this point probably sounds like I'm nuts and I'm saying nonsense. But you see, anxiety is our best friend. Anxiety is the friend that will never lie to you. And anxiety exists for 4 basic reasons. One is to tell you when you are in this matrix, that we are actually in this matrix. We're in this construct of society. And it exists to tell you when you're living a lie, basically. Because anxiety won't shut up. It's that person in the classroom who every time the teacher says something, it has something to say about it. It just, if something doesn't make sense, it won't stay quiet. Anxiety will always talk. And the thing is, it's talking to you. And it might be telling you that this society is making you live in a collective delusion that does not fit your life. It may be telling you that this pursuing an endless road to happiness is not even real. Anxiety is there to tell us, number one, if there is a lie around us. In these delusions that we have as a society and the societies before us and our parents and our great-great-great-grandparents, and it's so impregnated within us. The second reason anxiety exists is to tell you when you're lying to yourself. Because you see, We humans are expert in lying to ourselves. We are not really good at handling pain. So when something is painful, quite often we tend to just lie to ourselves. And the thing is, anxiety is there to tell you when you are lying to yourself. It just won't have it. So it is this tool, it's this part of yourself that wants you to see the truth. Because anxiety is a mirror. Anxiety is telling you what you are not wanting to see. If it wasn't for anxiety, we would all be happy thinking we are these perfectly molded, mass-constructed persons, and that's okay. But anxiety is there to tell you that that's not true. Anxiety is there to tell you if you're telling yourself that you are something that you, in fact, are not. If you're telling yourself that this life that you built, that this career that you're studying, that these degrees that you are pursuing are your true happiness, and anxiety is there to tell you if that's not true. That's why I say that it's the most reliable tool we have towards truth, because it loves truth. Anxiety loves truth. The third thing, and the third reason why it exists, is when to tell you when you are not being yourself. Because you see, in this construct of reality, in this super dehumanized, concrete, technological cities that we live, in which our pacing is fast. We are always rushing. We don't know where we are headed, but we just know we want to get there first. So in this society where as soon as you're born, you're already assigned masculine or feminine and a name, and you're already labeled in so many ways, you know. Day one and day two in the hospital, you're already, in my country, you're already a Mexican. Before you get out of the hospital, you already have your birth certificate as a Mexican. So in this society where we live by the should be and the must be, and we're listening, since we're little, we're listening, you should be a good girl. You should be this, you should be that. Your anxiety is there to tell you what you're doing, that persona you're wearing, that personification, that role you're carrying out. Like if this would be a theater play. So your anxiety is there to tell you, hey, listen, this is not you. You can look at yourself in the mirror and lie as much as you want, but I know you. This is not you, and this is not what makes you happy. This tough person, or this charming person, or this whatever defense mechanisms that we wear to protect ourselves. All these lies that we tell us, that we tell ourselves because we are afraid to actually see us for who we are and realize we are humans. Our anxiety is there to tell us, you are not this. This role, this part that you've learned to execute to perfection and that you've mastered as such a delicate art, that's not even you. And the fourth reason it exists is basically to be a map towards our own healing. Because as humans, we tend to put our pain in the drawer. And anxiety is this map telling you, this thing telling you, hey Karla, do you remember what happened when you were little? Do you remember what happened a long time ago? That hurt you. That hurt you. And there is a wound there. So the thing about anxiety is that it is not this scary abstract thing. It's something that exists to tell us there is a part of you that needs to be healed. Because even if we forget it, even if we throw it in our unconscious mind and we pretend that it doesn't exist, it exists. And psychology tells us that until we start bringing to our conscious mind what is in our unconscious mind, that's what Carl Jung said, that we will keep on living life and repeating patterns that are actually coming from our unconscious mind, from our wounds, and we will call it fate. We will call it fate because we are not even aware of our own lives. We are in such denial of our own pain. Because if there is anxiety, chances are that there's something that hurts you, that you haven't been able to look at in the face. So what anxiety is the most human part of us. Anxiety is in fact beautiful. I hate it. Don't get me wrong, I hate it. I would pay to never feel it again. But when you listen to it, when you make your peace with it, when you finally stop and say, hey, what is it that you want to tell me? You will find out that it is actually quite beautiful. And it is actually quite amazing, because we can't tell ourselves that there's nothing there. But if anxiety is there, it's because there's a part of ourselves that needs healing, and that needs actually for us to go back and re-edit those memories and meet ourselves there, meet that little person, that little version of us which didn't have the possibility to take care of her, himself, whatever, but tell ourselves that now we can take care of themselves. So anxiety is not this scary thing. It's actually an amazing tool to show us who we really are. It's an amazing tool to tell us what really is going on inside of us. And so if you feel anxiety, perhaps you are even experiencing an anxiety disorder, which is really painful, and it can be totally crippling. Anxiety can be crippling, can get you in bed. Anxiety can be terrible when we resist it, because like Carl Jung said, what we resist persists. So anxiety can be very hard to endure, but if we listen to it, if we dare to see it, we will find out that even if you feel that because you have anxiety you are broken, I'm here to tell you that it is actually quite the opposite. Because you are not broken, your psychic apparatus, yourself, your inner self works so well that it comes with a fail-proof thing, with something to tell you, you know what, this life you're living, this matrix is not you. This is not making you happy. So if you think that having a mental condition, a mental health condition that is anxiety, call it any way you want, generalized anxiety disorder, whatever you want to call it, if you think that that is saying that you are broken, I'm here to tell you that it's the exact opposite. That you're so not broken. This is so amazing. I don't know if you can grasp how amazing this is, but we live in this society that's, it's like a collective neurosis. It really is a collective neurosis where we all share the same delusions. We all share the same fallacies, that we actually believe that they are true. And we are so blinded that we can't even see it. Like, it's right in front of us, but we can't even see it. We don't even notice it. So you think you're broken because you feel anxiety? No, you're not. You are so not broken that there's something inside of you telling you exactly what you need to know to heal. It's telling you exactly where the door is to get out of this matrix, because that's not your happiness. Because we keep telling ourselves that we need to find happiness, that life is about accomplishing things and, approaching this and conquering these milestones in our lives, that's what makes life worth it. But anxiety is not going to happen. And it's telling you that you are, in fact, an animal, a mammal, just like so many other animals, and that living at this super fast pace, that's not for you. Anxiety is here to connect you to yourself, to connect you to nature, to connect you to your deepest nature, to tell you who you really are, and to tell you how and where the door is. Because there is a door, and it's actually open. The only thing is we are not even aware that we are inside something. So it is scary. It feels scary. Because out there, just like in Plato's myth of the cavern, we are in here looking at shadows in the wall, and it may not be the real thing, but at least we know it, right? But standing up, it's painful. When you've been all your life in chains, just standing up, your muscles are not used to it. And then getting out and seeing the light for the first time, it blinds you. It's painful. But your anxiety is here to tell you that you are much more than what you're telling yourself you are. Your anxiety is here to tell you that this narrative, that this conversation that you heard all your life, this indoctrination telling you what you are, what supposedly you are, that's not who you are. Your anxiety is here to challenge you to be your true self, to take you to the most profound and deepest parts of your soul and connect you to who you really are, to give you the permission to exist. Because we live in a society that unless we fit this mold, this cookie mold, and we are just exactly like mass produced, like as it expects us to be, we live in this society that there's no place for us to exist if we happen to commit the big crime of being ourselves. So if you want to know what anxiety is Morpheus in the Matrix. Yes, this badass, awesome dude with the black glasses who comes and disturbs Neo, and he takes him out of his comfort zone and tells Neo, what do you want? Blue pill or red pill? Do you want to wake up or do you want to go back to sleep? That's exactly what anxiety is. You know, Carl Jung said, whoever looks outside themselves dreams, but whoever looks inside themselves awakes. And he also said that whatever we resist persists, and what we look at, it dissolves, it subsides, it disappears. And the thing is, we as humans, we are so averse to change. We are so detached from our own nature as humans. We're so dehumanized that we actually want to believe that we have any control over life. We want to have control. We want to believe that we can keep things controlled and the way we want them to be. But the only constant in this life is change. Actually, the only reason time as a concept exists is because of change. Time exists to show us that what happens in a second is different to what happens in a second. It's just basically time is a measure of change. And time is the most constant thing we have. Like literally the most constant thing we have. The only thing that we can actually rely that will continue for as long as we are alive. So we like to tell ourselves that we have powers, that we can control things. And anxiety is there to tell us that that's not true. So if you are asking yourself, if you are looking for solutions for your anxiety outside yourself, I'm here to tell you, you're not gonna find them. You can have the best service dog, and they're gonna help a lot, but that's not gonna be a solution. Medication, nothing is actually gonna get rid of it until you dare to look inside yourself. And it may be scary because we are so comfortable in our matrix, in our little piece of the play and our role that we play, because we know it by heart. But I'm gonna tell you that that's finding yourself, and it's not even like finding, it's more like waking up. But waking up is the most beautiful and the most fulfilling thing and experience that you can actually go through in your life. So if you are fighting, if you're struggling with anxiety and you're thinking like, how do I deal with this thing? Number one, I want you to know that it is not your anxiety the problem. That it is not your anxiety that you're resisting to. It's not anxiety as it is like an external ghost or entity. It's yourself that you are resisting. And what we resist persists. If you keep resisting yourself, if you keep fragmenting yourself, if you keep dehumanizing yourself, anxiety is just gonna grow and grow and grow. But if you stop, you will find out, if you turn on the light, you will find out that those things that look so scary in the dark are actually not scary at all. And if you dare to stop, just like that mom, and say, hey, dear, what is it that you want to tell me? And you listen, and you look at yourself, you turn inside and you look at yourself like a human. Because we are so dehumanized, we're so detached, we don't know who we are. But if you look at yourself, you will find out that perhaps all anxiety wants is to know that it is welcome. That it is welcome in your life, that it is allowed to exist, that it is a part of you, that it is in fact one of the most loving expressions of your own self towards your own self. But the only reason we can't see it, and the only reason we demonize it so much, is because of how dehumanized we are, how detached we are from our own humanity, how little we know ourselves at all. So if you want to know how to get rid of anxiety, the first thing we need to know is that by accepting that we cannot control, by listening to it, just sitting and meditating and looking inwards, and telling our anxiety that it is welcome, that it is not a bad emotion, that it is not a negative emotion that is fearful, like it's so scary and dangerous and frightening. By accepting it and embracing it and welcoming it, you will find out that anxiety is much more kind than we think it is. It's much nicer and much more humane than we give it credit for. And then what you resist persists, but what you look at, what you allow yourself to not deny, it dissolves and disappears. So I'm just gonna end with Carl Jung's words saying, whoever looks outside themselves dreams, but whoever looks inwards, inside themselves, wakes up. And I'm gonna tell you something, this is my own reflection of life, but there's nothing more tragic. And this is why anxiety is so freaking awesome, because it takes us, it shows us what really actually matters in life. Because there would be nothing more tragic in this life than embodying this human body for a full life, coming to this world, being born as a human, and living an entire life and learning about arts and music and history and science and learning about so many things except for one thing: living an entire life and never giving yourself the chance, or rather never having the courage to get out of the matrix, to break the mold, to cross the door that's already open for your emotional and mental freedom, so that you can actually get to know the person that inhabits your own skin. There's no price too high to pay to get to know that person that lives inside your own skin. Finally, if you've been here this far, well, thank you and congratulations for making it through. And well, this space, let's talk about mental health. It exists to create a space where we can talk about mental health in the first person. And so I would love to hear from you. And so if you have some insight, if you have some questions, if you have some reflection that you would like to share, please feel free to reach out through our Facebook, well, my Facebook, rather my Facebook page, My Beautifully Broken Mind, or through YouTube comments or whatever. I would really love to start this conversation where I could hear you to talk about mental health in the first person and create this dialogue that hopefully will help us humanize mental health. So please join me in the cause of humanizing mental health, and please join me in talking about mental health. I want to hear your story too. Thank you.